Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Okakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who is worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing this truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and for love of the gospel. It's the brother Gabar here from the Indiana camp, coming back at you again with another sit down. All right, and I'm going to entitle this video Experience Beats Talent. All right. And the reason because of that, I was reading actually in Sirach, the 25th chapter, and I came across the 6th verse, which I'm finna read right now, and it just kind of sent me down a rabbit hole and just thinking about how, and it was from this movie that I actually forgot. I know it had Adam Sandler in it, but it was a movie where he was explaining, and I think he was coaching a basketball team or something. He was explaining to this guy, because I guess the guy was real talented in basketball. He didn't have to really train like that. And he thought he can just go to the league, or he thought he can just be a great player just by being off of his talent. And Adam Sandler's character, he said, listen, experience beats, no, Slocky, it wasn't experience, it was obsession. Obsession beats talent every time, you know? Because you can be granted with all the talent in the world, but if you're not obsessed with it, if you don't let it overtake you, the person who is obsessed with it is gonna outperform you or outdo you, you know. And you can say the same with that through experience, all right? Because a person that has experience in a certain thing, all right, it's evident that they're obsessed with it, all right. Especially if they've been doing something for over 10,000 hours. They say, the world says that you become a known professional at anything when you become an expert at whatever you've done for more than 10,000 hours. So if you have a certain particular skill that you've been mastering for over 10,000 hours, you have become an expert on it, you know. Now you could be blessed with all the talent in the world, but that talent's only going to get you so far, all right. But the scripture that I read, this is Sirach chapter 25 and verse 6. It says, much experience is the crown of an old man. It says, and the fear of Yahweh is their glory. You see? So what that experience is like a crown to the elderly. All right? That's where you get the gray hairs from. Gray hairs going into meaning basically a knowledge. Matter of fact, it talks about that. And I think verse 4, it says, and how calmly, which means beautiful, how calmly a thing is judged for gray hairs, you see, and for the ancient men to know counsel. All right. So gray hairs is a representation of wisdom, all right, or experience, you know. And the scriptures talks about what? Honor the hoary head. All right. So these men who's been pushing the truth before your age, before your time, there's men who's been pushing this truth before I was even born. All right. And I'm 30, well, close to being 31. So there's men out here that's been preaching on the highways and byways before I was even thought of. All right. And still doing it to this day. So they're going to have way more experience than a man who can break down the scriptures, get into the scriptures, and has every precept to every situation, you know, who's blessed with a lot of talent, who the Lord might open up their mind to be, you know, that can understand breakdowns fairly easy, that can go into the scriptures. Matter of fact, there's a guy a long time ago named Abba Shaba Allah. He was actually the former head of Houston before Elder Yashawamba was. And Abba Shaba Allah, he was a man known for his wisdom. He knew a lot of stuff. He knew the scriptures. He knew the breakdowns. You know, the elders even commended him and saying, hey man, this guy knows a lot. This guy, he knows more than your average, you know, individual. You see? But now the end outcome of him, we also called him Element. The end outcome of him is now he's not doing nothing. He's not preaching. Who knows where the guy's at? So here it is. You can be blessed with all the talent in the world, all the scriptural knowledge, all the breakdown knowledge. You can have that all. You can have all that to your fingertips. But still, without that experience, without the day in and the day out of living it, without actually being there, you really have nothing. All right. The men who's actually put their blood, sweat, and tears in this thing. The ones who are out there on the highways and byways. The ones who sit there and do the videos. The ones who have seen certain men fall in or fall out. The ones that can give you the experience, and the ones who can give you the what is it called? The advice on how to handle certain things. Because they didn't seen it all. Best believe they didn't see the men who probably was blessed with talent. They see the men who had the scriptural knowledge, but what they lacked in certain things. All right. Matter of fact, the scripture talks about, which is, Lord, well, I'm going to get that. The scripture says what? It wasn't given to the swift or to the mighty. You know. Matter of fact, let me grab this one and then I'm gonna get that one later. This is Sirach chapter 34 and verse 9. It says a man that hath traveled knoweth many things, and he that hath much experience will declare wisdom. You see? So we have elders, we have apostles, we have bishops, we have regional heads, we have state heads that has put in the experience, that has put in the effort, the work, you know, to be able to guide men and to let them know what certain paths to go down. Oh no, brother, you don't want to do that. We had a guy that did that and it didn't end up right for him. Or shit, sometimes they went through it. You know, they probably went through a certain predicament, a certain situation, and they seen that it didn't work out in their favor, or it was too much. It was too much to bear. Be able to balance that in the truth. You know, whatever it might be. You see. So what they're there to give you the advice and to direct your path, to show you to declare wisdom, to show you the proper way of doing things. You know? It says, verse 10, it says, he that have no experience knoweth little, but he that traveled is full of prudency. You see, and the word prudency is to be able to see something afar off and preparing yourself for it. So a lot of times the elders, the bishop, the apostles, they can see when you bring certain situations to them, they already know how the end outcome is going to be because they probably been through it. They've lived through that. They've seen the world has it. I've been around the block a few times, you know, which that's a worldly saying. It's basically saying, listen, I've been there, done that. I've seen certain outcomes that happen to guys like that. You know, ones lifted up in pride, ones who wasn't doing nothing, ones who was doing too much, you know. Guys who had all the scriptural knowledge but didn't apply it to themselves. Guys who didn't have very little scriptural knowledge, but they stayed faithful and true. You know, guys who kept making excuses. Guys who didn't who took accountability. You know, the apostles, and I'm talking about our apostles who've been in it probably 30 plus, 40 plus. They didn't see it all. That's how they were able to make videos and tell you the end outcome of these guys. Matter of fact, like the ITR guys. Matter of fact, our apostles told us what's gonna happen to those. Eventually, they're gonna start changing up the doctrine. Then they're gonna start saying this ain't that, and then they're gonna stop preaching. And like clockwork, I promise you, it happened exactly like that. The guys switched up the doctrine. They say the 12 tribes of Israel wasn't the 12 tribes of Israel no more. And then what? Then they took all their videos down from off YouTube. They started a little radio show for a little bit, and then what? Eventually, you can't find them no more. You don't know where these guys are at. You know. So our apostles coined that years ago. I want to say a good 3 to 4 years before before those guys even got up off of YouTube. You see, because why? They seen it before. Once you see, there's another saying in the world. Once you see something one time, you see it 1,000 times. You know, you're able to anticipate the person's next move. You know, verse 11 it says, "When I traveled, I saw many things, and I understand more than I can express." You see, because living through something, going through something is way better than reading it, watching a video on it, hearing about it. You know, once you've gone through it. Once you went through the emotions, knowing how it feels to be stressed, to not know the next step, or make sure that, damn, was my next step my right step? Was that the best decision on how to do something, how to handle a situation? Going through it, living it, experiencing it is going to be way better than a man who can just sit there and just give his input on something, on how he feels. Or I feel it should have went this way. Or I think it should have went that way. Yeah, but you wasn't there. You wasn't there experiencing that. Yeah, you can say something on how the aftermath was it. You can say about a situation when you hear about the end outcome. But what happens when you're in that outcome? What happens when you're in that situation? It's a completely different feeling. Because what you're thinking now you might not be thinking that when you're in that situation. The stress that comes about handling a situation right then and there, expediently. You might have to pass down judgment right then and there. You might have to, kick a brother out, or rebuke a brother, or sitting there contemplating, oh, damn, do I rebuke the brother? Do I kick him out? Do I suspend him? Or however it may be. So the end outcome, man, is experience is always going to beat out talent. You can be blessed with all the talent in the world. Just look at that as a blessing from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. He just gave you a quick and steady mind to comprehend more than the average man. The scriptures even talks about that. Some grow how does it go? Some grow monthly, but some men grow day by day. Matter of fact, let me see, can I find that right quick? I'm gonna use my phone because it's much faster than my laptop. So Baba Kushah, bear with me for a minute. Okay, let me see, is this it? This might be because I remember it being in Paul's writings. Nah, that's not it. All right. I can't go. I hope I'm not misquoting it. I'm gonna grab this one and just, if I find it later, I'm gonna post it in the comments. It says, oh, you know what? Matter of fact, it's first. First Corinthians 3:5, it says, who then is Paul and who is Apollo, but ministers by whom ye believed, and even as the Lord gave them every man. I planted, Apollo watereth, but Yahweh gave the increase. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but Yahweh that giveth the increase. You see, now some men might get more increase than others, but every measure, the Lord has given every brother their own measure. Some brothers more than others, but some brothers less than others. But but the key point is you're putting your best work into whatever the Lord gives you. Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. You see, like I was going into, we all are we all have our certain jobs and our certain things that we do, but what you got to make sure what you're getting your own, you'll get your own reward according to your labor. You got to make sure you're putting in your work. You don't look at the next man. So the next man might be blessed with more talent than another man, but what it's about you. It's about make sure you do what you're supposed to be doing, making sure you're doing what the Lord. If the Lord has only blessed you with so much, you do what you do with the it's like I'm stumbling over my words. You do what you can with the Lord, what the Lord gave you. All right. You don't look at the next brother. Oh, this brother got more than me. Why can't I get more than him? Hey, well, I guess the Lord had seen that brother was more fit to handle a bigger load than you. You see? Maybe you weren't fit to handle that load. Maybe if you would have had as much as that brother, it would have blowed you out, or it would have been too much on you. It would have been overbearing. You see? All right, let me grab this one. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 11. It says, I returned and saw under the sun the race that is not, it says, and that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to the man of understanding, nor yet favor to the man of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. You see? It says, for a man also knoweth not his time, as the fish that are taken in an evil net. All right. So whatever your hand find to do. Yeah. So listen, it's not going to be always given the race. The victory is not always going to be given to the swift, or the battle to the strong, or the riches to man of understanding. You got to make sure that you're doing your part. You might not be the strongest reader, the strongest comprehender, but the Lord can give you that increase. The Lord can make you a better reader. The Lord can make you a better man of understanding. All right. I've seen men who can read precepts, who know what exactly precepts are, who can read scriptures, who know all the breakdowns, who studied their ass off, and find themselves still lacking, or still outside the camp. Because it's not always about how much you know or how good you can know it. It's about making sure you're doing what's right and saying what's right. It's about making sure you're enduring. and make sure you're doing what Yahweh Shem Yahshua intended you to do. If he wanted you to be this office, if he wanted you to hold down this, then you better be the best person that can do that job. All right. It's not always going to be bad. It's not always going to be about what you know or how fast you can learn it. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. If you're a brother that can comprehend much in just a short amount of time, that's a good. There's many brothers that's like that. We in our camp, we got several brothers that's like that can comprehend that, you know, it doesn't take them a long time to really understand something, and it stays and it retains, you know. I've seen brothers that's like that only came in a couple years, but able to go into the scriptures like they've been in it for years, you know, like they've been in it for years, decades even, you know, but they didn't let that get to their head. They knew it was more than just about knowing scriptures and cutting and bringing precepts, you know. And that's where experience comes. That's where experience comes in, man. What does it says in the book of Proverbs? It says, "With all thy getting, get understanding." You know, there's certain ways that in certain paths that you have to take in this truth. It's not just about knowing scriptures and knowing precepts. It's about also applying them in the certain situations, in certain predicaments that you find yourself in. And only men of understanding and men of experience can show you that proper way. See, a man with talent, he's just thinking that knowing the scriptures is going to get him everything he wants. Oh yeah, well, I know the scriptures. I know the scriptures better than the elders. I know the scriptures better than brothers. I'm going to become an officer soon. I know how to go into breakdowns. I know how to go into words, go into the history. Yeah, but the Lord can bless that with any brother. You know? So that's all I had on this video. Oh, matter of fact, Slocky, I had one more thing. I get it anyways. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11, it says, "Now no chastising for the present seems to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them that exercise thereby." You see? Now, one thing, the reason why I brought this out is to basically show that the men of experience, they went through everything that you've gone through. They went through rebuke. They went through thinking that they were right. They went through emotional tides that they probably didn't lean on. All right? They probably thought they were right in certain situations, but still held their peace and let the Lord fight their battles. All right? So see, here it is. You being emotional, or you looking at it like, well, why am I getting on? Most likely it's good. If you look at it, if you endure it, most likely what it says, never left afterwards is yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness. You see, it's just going to make your walk that much more better, whether you was right or whether you was wrong. But a man of experience can tell you that. He's going to say, listen, brother, hey, you know, I know it doesn't seem, joyous now, or it might be seem hard, brothers getting on you, but just endure it, stay faithful, and keep pushing. I promise you, it's gonna end up better than what you believe. It's gonna yield unto you peaceable fruit, you know. And a man of experience is gonna give you that knowledge. Most likely, a man of experience, the reason why he's getting on you, most likely is because he's seen the outcome of that. He's seen brothers go through the same thing you went through, and he said, "Hey, brother, hey, listen, you know, you don't want to do this. I'm telling you, you don't want to go down that path. You don't want to do that. You want to go this way." All right? And you looking at it like, why are you getting on me? What's this about? You know? If you just take the time to really hear out what the brother is telling you, you'll understand where he's coming from. He's been through that. He's done it before. He's seen it before. You know? So, like I said, that's all I got to say. If you was to take anything from this video, just know experience beats out talent every time. You know? Men of experience, men who's been around longer than you, they've seen a few things. They've seen how certain situations act and how certain situations transpired. You know? So take heed to those things, that take heed to the experience from those men. You know? That's all I got to say. Lord will, this video was edifying. Until next time, shalom.